I've read a lot of Reddit posts in my time, specifically revolving pastors and churches, and today's post is probably the craziest one.
Some pastors take the word multi-purpose a little too seriously when it comes to their office.
Meanwhile, there's a custodian out here earning hazard pay that he absolutely did not sign up for.
Listen, we've all done some stupid things in ministry, but hopefully this is not one of them.
And this is why you never run a live stream from your personal office. What? Was that wrong? I don't want to call you guys prudes. That's weird.
Hey, don't do ministry alone. This is practically pastoring. Guys, we're diving into a crazy episode all about church offices, and I'm scared where this show's going to go. Welcome to Practically Pastoring. All right, guys, we have a crazy episode for you. You probably can kind of see from the title, kind of from our attitude in the cold open. It's a little bit of a crazy one, and it all has to do with church offices. But the first question is from our Facebook group, and it's definitely PG. The next one, I can't promise you where this is going to go. But here's the question from our Facebook group, which, by the way, go to Facebook and search Practically Pastoring and join our Facebook group if you haven't done so. Here's the question. I'm curious what others are doing that are in a similar position. I gave up my office so that it can be used for another needed classroom. I'm curious how others handle their office hours, as I will be set up at home now. How and where do you set up for private meetings? How do you still give people the impression that you are still available when they can't just pop in to say hi? I thought I could set up at a local coffee shop for a couple hours one day to be visible and available. Do you have other ideas or suggestions that have worked well for you guys? Jeff and Tim, start us off. How do you guys kind of process this question, and what have you guys done in the past?
Are you going to ask all these questions for segment 2? Because they fit.
Yeah. Let's go. Answer
right.
the question. Yeah.
All right. So when I came here, the pastor before me and the pastor before him, I believe, had their office in the parsonage. So my situation is that I live in a parsonage on the same parking lot as the church building. So very old school. It's a nice house. It's a big house, biggest house in the neighborhood, honestly, because it's a very small, old neighborhood. But there was a room right when you walk in the front door. It was a bedroom that had been an office. And I realized I think I'm the first pastor in a few decades that has small children at the house and plans to have small kids around for, the next 10 to 15 to 18 years or whatever. And so I was like, man, I really want to create some boundaries here. So I took a room, the one I'm sitting in now, that had been a canned food storage room, and I converted it into an office, and this became my office. And so when I first started, I was more into having office hours. And then I just realized over time, literally nobody is ever popping in and saying hi. That's not a thing. I don't know if I'm just like blessed to be in a church that's not part of the culture, but it wasn't when I got here. People just texted me or called me on my cell phone, and I've never had an issue with that being misused either. And so I think one of the things that can happen is sometimes in churches, depending on who the leadership is or has been, that the idea of office hours kind of equals a weird version of availability. Because I do remember somebody saying to me when I first came, one of the wiser older people here said, hey, you just really need to make sure you're available to the congregation. Now, I think if you ask most people in my congregation, they would probably say that they feel like I'm pretty available. I very often will just like get up and go somewhere to meet with somebody or meet a need or drive somebody to the doctor's office or anything, things like that. So the way that I kind of interact with my congregation is that basically they have already kind of purchased my time and my availability full time. And so they know a big part of that is sermon writing and preparation and thinking. But I'm constantly telling people, you're not like interrupting me if you need to meet. Like that's actually the main thing. The other stuff that I do is secondary to meeting with you and being part of your life. So I do think it's just kind of a culture thing that you can set as the leader if you're in a new place.
Yeah, that's really good. we at Lakeview were in traditional office space for my first 10 years at Lakeview, so I know the office hours thing well. We started out Monday through Friday, then we went Monday through Thursday. We were originally 8 to 5, then we went 9 to 4, and we've tried a variety of different office hours methods. I think it's safe to say that ministry doesn't always happen inside the four walls of your office. Like that might be where your printer lives, and that's fine. So we made the executive decision during the COVID era, which we were able to make a lot of choices back then, and no one really batted an eye, to eliminate the offices at Lakeview. We had several portables set up that were dated and struggling. We wanted to get rid of them. We just weren't sure if we could finally pull the trigger, and that particular year allowed
It just
us
took one
freedom.
person falling through the floor.
Someone did just about fall through the floor, and we're like, you know what? It's time. So we got rid of the portables, and that meant we got rid of our traditional offices. So we have had to get creative with what was once a very, very small staff. There was only 2 or 3 of us at the time, and that's obviously grown. We have 7 or 8 staff members now. So it has gotten trickier over the years as we've brought on new staff and kind of tried to explain what it means to not have traditional office hours, even though we still have a staff meeting once a week where we all are on campus. And for us, it looks a little different for everyone on staff. Some of our staff actually likes going to the church to quote unquote office. They'll just set up shop in the student center for a couple hours, a couple days a week. Kids ministry will have to, go into their area and do what they need to do for kids ministry purposes. But for me, I'm typically not on church property 4 or 5 days a week like I used to be. I'm writing sermons from coffee shops. I'm doing stuff from home. And when it comes to setting meetings, this happened. I think it happened 6 times yesterday, which was Sunday. And it was, hey, Tim, are you available to chat soon? I was like, yep, shoot me an email and we'll set that up. And I got all those emails and we're working through the schedule now to get those set up. Now, could you use Calendly or Google Calendar? You could, there's probably a lot of creative ways to set those up. But for me, I typically need to have a more open schedule because of hospital visits and funerals and things that pop up unexpectedly. I try not to plan things too far out. I try to keep it pretty open for that purpose. And most of my meetings I plan around meals. So either breakfast or lunch, because everyone's got to eat. And I've found that typically people are pretty open when we have a good meal around us. Now, from time to time, there'll be, something serious that needs to be talked about. And there's a request made that, hey, I'd prefer this to be private. And if that's the case, I do try to make some time at the church in a spot where I know no ministry is meeting or no other Bible study is happening in that moment. So it's really just about being creative. But when it comes to your staff, you also have to have really open communication lines. Some of the pushback we've gotten has just been, hey, we don't see each other enough as a staff. And I totally get that. Like 10 years in the office and you see each other every single day, then all of a sudden you don't. It's just a shift.
There is some creativity you lose with that too. Like I would love I would love to walk down the hallway and be like, hey, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? But there's nobody.
And that
here.
was the conversations we had every single day.
Right.
It just became sometimes too much and it was very distracting. I still think you can build those in. So we're talking about the possibility of a return to partial office hours at Lakeview in the future with the building expansion that's on the horizon. So that could be a thing. I still think I want to give our staff the flexibility and freedom to continue a mobile office scenario, even if it's a hybrid version where we're on property 1 or 2 days a week, and then the rest of the time is kind of do it on your own time.
Yeah,
So
for us, I've been kicking around the idea of some kind of like Zoom check-in meeting because we're starting to have more people that are able to run different things. Like we've got somebody over spiritual formation now. We have somebody over children's ministry. We're working on youth ministry. We have somebody doing communications now, and all of those people are like really smart, qualified people who have great ideas. And so I don't want to lose the opportunity to like bounce ideas off of them. So we're talking about having like a maybe once a week, once every other week sort of quote unquote staff meeting, maybe over Zoom, maybe partially in the building and partially over Zoom. But the challenge there is they're all volunteers. I'm the only paid staff member here. So it has to be probably in the evening. And then you run into like people with young kids and bedtimes and getting ready for school. So it's tricky. But one of the things you mentioned, Tim, with Calendly or Google Calendar. So I had started a Calendly because I think Frank had one. It's a great tool. I think you get one free meeting type with Calendly. And it does look nice and it's great and everything. And one of the things I did with that, Tim, to your point of making sure you don't overdo yourself is you can create like pretty specific meeting block times, where it's not just like 9 to 5. You can have, I think I had like 9 to noon, and then a lunch one, and then like 3 to 5, and then I didn't block anything else out. And so you can connect it to a calendar that you use. And so it just means that you have to be really good about putting things into your calendar to block those times out. Otherwise, you'll get double booked for things. But then recently, I found out that that Google Calendar has this same functionality built right into it. So you don't even need a third-party thing. You just can go into your Google Calendar, create an availability thing. And so we've started communicating that. I've shared it more often with people. And we're going to start putting it like on the pre-service slides and maybe a few other places. I could see like email signature, just, hey, this is the way that we can meet together. And there are options in there of like meet in person, meet by a phone call, meet by Zoom. They can click a bunch of different options. Now in my church,
can they type in like the reason for the meeting? Because that's my big one. Like I want to be prepped before I walk into.
Yeah, I think you can make like a little form they can fill out. Or the other option is when you get the alert that someone scheduled a meeting, you could email them back and say, hey, just want to understand what this meeting is for. But there is the challenge in like probably, I mean, Tim, you have some of this too. Delmar, I don't know your demographics, but Andrew and I's church probably has a little more in the boomer demographic. And sometimes getting them to fill out a form online can be tricky. So if that's the case and someone pulls me aside on Sunday, I literally just go into my Google Calendar like I'm them and just schedule it. And that way it's part of it. And then what I like too is I have a record in that Google Calendar or in Calendly too of when you've met with people, which is kind of neat. And if you're really proactive, you could even get somebody to enter those into like Planning Center notes with somebody so you can track if you've met with somebody over a long period of time. That can be really helpful. So I like the idea of setting rhythms like, hey, Tuesdays are a day when I'm open to meet and I don't schedule things. But like you said, Tim, hospital visits and stuff like that, or some tragedy happens, they're not on a calendar. They just kind of happen. Right. So the other thing is just creating the culture of, hey, you might have been on my calendar, but I'm here to care for the congregation. And sometimes that means I might need to cancel a meeting with you to go do something else. And I think if you have a healthy communication with your congregation, most people will understand that.
I think to be available, I think what you said, Jeff, is putting some sort of like calendar link or something that explains how to get on your calendar in your email signature or something like that. I mean, you mentioned like a slide on Sunday morning. If you're the main guy and like that's how pastoral care has to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is the new way of doing it. Like, the reality is like, even if you have an office at your church on Sunday morning, there might be something that you have to run to, like a hospital visit. Mm-hmm. And if someone's going to get mad because you're not in your office to pop in, they're going to get mad either way.
They're going to have a different kind of meeting with me then.
Yeah. But if you have a clear, like, communication pathway of, hey, this is how you can get a hold of me. And I like to even say for stuff like Calendly or the Google Calendar thing, which I'm going to start playing with, is it's really easy and you get to choose the date and time and you can be on my calendar and it's all on you. Like, we don't even have to talk because you just have the link and you can put all the parameters you want. And use also, if you use multiple calendars, like you have a Google Calendar for a personal one for your family, a Google Calendar for work. I know Calendly can do it. I'm sure Google Calendar has functionality for this. It can take into consideration your entire calendar.
You can pick which calendars it takes into consideration. Yeah.
So things don't get double booked and stuff like that. And then the thing though that you have to commit to if you use Calendly and stuff like that is to some sort of time blocking. So if you're like, I need 5 hours to work on my sermon on Tuesday, and I don't want anyone to book a meeting on Tuesday over those times, like, you just have to put it in your calendar and you can block it out. So as far as some of the questions he asked, I would to show your availability, use like Calendly or Google Calendar or some kind of mechanism to show how you're going to be available and kind of be pretty rigid on your own calendar. And then as far as private conversations, like, Tim's really good at like, there's a small office, not an office. There's like a small lobby that's outside the sanctuary that rarely ever gets used except for like once or twice a week. So he'll for like more confidential meetings, he'll schedule that there. I have found that like there's certain coffee shops that have like more private corners than others, that if I wanted to be there, I could do that. But
There's levels to private conversations though.
right.
You know,
I would say
if you think somebody is going to be like in tears, then you don't want to do that. I saw my camera went off. I'll get it.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like, if I know that this conversation could have them in tears, I'll try to do somewhere in the church, even if it's like the sanctuary of the church. Maybe that's the way to do it. We got X-ray vision of Jeff.
Jeff is an alien.
Del or Andrew, you guys have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I like my office.
Okay.
I mean, like just in general, like I don't like kind of like what Jeff was saying. I don't have people just stop by to say, hey. I think that's kind of, and I would venture to say I probably have the highest median age in my congregation of the 5 of us.
Yeah.
And yet that's still just not something that happens. We have a ladies Bible study group that's mostly retired women on Thursday mornings, and so someone like might knock on the door and say, hey, as they're like walking out from that. But I don't think anyone's coming by with oh, hey, here's this big life event that I need to talk to you about. But when COVID happened and everything was getting moved in, everybody was working from home, I was thrilled to have a private office to go to because it's where my kids weren't.
True.
And these days, now that all of my kids are in school, sometimes I can get more work done at home than I could a few years ago. So I am thrilled to have the flexibility to do both. I typically say I study a lot in the office. I write a lot at home. For whatever reason, I don't do a lot of my writing sitting in the desk at the office. That's where I do a lot of prep and a lot of studying. But a lot of the actual sermon writing is, for whatever reason, on my couch. So I think a hybrid, flexible model makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I love that my office is just always available. It's like the kitchen table, not always available. My back deck, not always available, but my office is always there. And I know I can always walk into it, shut the door, and focus. I think too.
That's what I miss most about it as well. Like not having that space, I know I can retreat to. So I would love to have the option, even if it wasn't mandatory all the time.
I think Delmar has a whole nother house that he can do that too. So that's pretty cool.
It's nice.
I think it's also part of the equation. I think it's also part of the equation that like there is an attitude, I think particularly among older people, it was their generation, I think, where it's like the attitude that the pastor works for us. And so therefore he should have office hours. And I think there's some discipleship there that it's a different relationship than I'm your employee. I'm not the employee of every person in the congregation in one sense. In another sense, I kind of am, but it's just not the way the church is supposed to view the pastor, I don't think, as you're our employee, therefore you should be there when I want you there, and like you're a commodity.
I've been in churches where you got lots of office hours and everyone thinks you're unavailable. And I've been in a church where I didn't have an office and everybody thinks you're available. I think a large part of this we need to speak to is this is a culture issue in your church. The calendar will help with your culture issue, but your availability and how people see that you are, that's something you have to set as the leader. That's a tone that you have to be directive in making. So what I would encourage you to do if you're moving to an off-campus office or a hybrid system is you need to be the first mover a lot of times when it comes to your meetings. And what I mean is if you know something's going on, you call, you set it up, you show up. Good things about that is you get to determine more of the hours and the location. Also, it starts to create the culture. Hey, Jeff was there. Andrew was there. That's really important because you can have all these ways to get to you. Like you said, a boomer is going to look at that. Oh, that's just an obstacle you have to go through to get to the pastor. He doesn't want to be with you. But if you are known as someone who's there and who's available, I think that's very important. And also, your sacred time and your sacred space is your sacred time and your sacred space. There's certain places I meet that is not accessible to people because this is where I go to study. I actually have two different coffee shops in town. One coffee shop I go to meet with people. One coffee shop I go to work by myself in the corner with no one there. That doesn't mean I'm going to be antisocial. Somebody walks in, of course you're going to talk. But if we're talking about ditching the office, I think we have to realize that's going to have a creative stream and a culture stream down through your whole church. When I was at a former church, I was at pulling office hours at the main campus. Then I got moved to another campus. And literally by my office not being at the main campus, we became completely disconnected. And the church, it trickled down to the congregation. It became a us versus them thing. It was really weird. You get left out of the inside jokes that the other staff are making back on campus. You start to feel like this third wheel. So you need to be very careful if you're going to ditch your office. At least have a place where people identify that is where my pastor, where I can meet with him. Because if not, like you said, you're just this ambiguous guy who floats around town. And you want to create the culture of community, not the culture of isolation.
I find myself that I write my sermons the best, more efficiently when I'm in a place like a coffee shop where there's like people and
Ambient
noise around me.
Yeah.
But like I still have my headphones on, and there's something about it where like I'm better there than in my own home office where it's quiet. Like it's weird.
Dude,
but
sometimes I'm better in a coffee shop with no headphones on and like that ambient noise. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I found that when I'm trying to, but one of my church planning coaches said, "Hey, if you're gonna be in a coffee shop, don't put your headphones on and be zoned out. Like you want to be able to talk to people." And it's like, but man, I'm so good at running sermons in the coffee shop, and I don't know. Anyways, I think the point is like this problem that you now have could actually probably be a blessing because now you might actually be more available for folks in the community and things like that. But hopefully this was helpful, and go to our Facebook group. There's been a couple other responses to this post. Maybe you can find some help there if that's an issue for you. Hey, we have a couple of sponsors we want to recognize. Jeff and Dunbar, tell us about the Practically Pastoring Conference 2026.
Woo! Well, think of it as what would happen if we took just the best parts of a conference and then we removed all the junk that you don't need. You know what I mean? It's like just all the best stuff, the talking around tables, the making new relationships, and removed all the filler stuff, which I don't want to say because maybe somebody will be offended if that's what they like at conferences.
Yeah, this is a small gathering of pastors who love church but are tired of doing it alone.
You end up getting like actual real conversations, not kind of like skits between speakers and videos and all that kind of stuff. You get actual real conversations. You get tools. You're going to get free stuff. I mean, I've already seen previews of some of the free stuff we're going to be giving away, which is awesome. Really excited about it. And what's really fun is that if you are local in the Tampa Bay area, reach out, DM Frank. We got a special code for you.
Yeah, and also there's not going to be any of those weird commercials where you feel like you need to donate to this thing or support this cause. We are here for the cause of ministry. So that being said, how are we paying for this thing, Jeff?
Well, you can go to practicallypastoringconference.com, grab your spot, and we'll hope to see you there in February in Tampa, Tarpon Springs, Florida, February 9th to the 11th, 2026, practicallypastoringconference.com.
Thank you. Tim and Andrew, tell them about our other sponsor who's actually helping us.
Let's go.
Finance this amazing conference.
Are you talking about church merch?
Yeah, I'm talking about church merch.
Merch for your church. Not only are they helping us, they could be helping you.
I mean, just look at Dell's shirt that he's wearing right now. It's a church merch t-shirt.
You need a t-shirt.
Man.
You need goodies.
You need a coffee mug. You need a Frisbee.
You need promotional items.
You need a tote bag.
They've probably got it.
They
Beanie?
definitely have it.
They for sure have it.
I need one of
You
those.
need a thumb drive.
Might need multiple thumb drives.
There's so many things that you can get from church
Only
merch.
Andrew's church would use thumb drives.
I'm just saying some people still need thumb drives, Jeff.
Church merch for your church. Check them out at
promotionsguide.com/church merch.
I ordered a bunch of Cross and Crown shirts from Church Merch.
Ooh.
Let's go.
And they are amazing.
They're great shirts.
Hey,
Yeah,
let's go into this segment, and I don't think I'm mentally prepared for whatever this discussion takes us to.
I don't know why I was nominated to talk about this, but whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
we
ready.
do.
I do.
I'm very nervous. So I was on Reddit, and I was trying to get some.
What were you searching on Reddit to
Yeah.
find this?
I just went to the,
He had safe search.
I was wondering why my covenant
That is-
eyes was pinking.
That
I was
is
like,
for
Frank on Reddit?
sure.
this.
He was in a private browser. Let's be honest.
This was not NSFW. This was in the pastor's Reddit group.
NSFC,
Well.
not safe for church.
Maybe after this segment we can revisit that.
Yeah. All right, here it is. It's a little longer, so bear with me.
Yeah, it is.
That's why you're doing this one, okay?
Oh my gosh.
I'm the pastor of a largest church, and we have a decent-sized staff. I've been the pastor here for about 6 years. Most of the staff that is here predates my arrival. All of our staff are married, and I argue have healthy marriages. This is a testament to our leadership who provide services, counseling, retreats, etc. for any of our pastors and their spouses who might need them. They offer a generous amount of paid time off and are strict about those days off. But in recent weeks, I have learned of one of our pastors and his wife having marital relations together in their office, in his office. How did you learn about this, you might ask? Good question. We have a custodial team. There's 3 people, and those folks operate on a pretty consistent schedule. However, sometimes things get weird and they have to come into different hours to clean. It's not unusual for there to be a custodial team at midnight cleaning at the church. We have a few staff members who are notified with the changes when the changes occur, mostly our lead team and anyone who would minister to children. They need to know when people are in the building for safety reasons. It also is not unusual for staff to be in the building late. Many of them bring their families with them while they finish up work. So our custodian thought nothing of it when he saw the pastor's car in the lot. They just worked and stayed out of the way as they typically do. Now, you can imagine the surprise when they heard certain noises from the pastor's office. According to them, it was obvious what was taking place. They did not intervene or investigate, so at the time, they had no idea who was in the office, only that it was taking place inside the office. They notified me immediately. The next day, we checked the cameras and identified that the pastor and his wife clearly entered the building that evening and clearly left together. We do not have sound in our interior cameras, we have no evidence from that. However, in confronting the pastor, he confessed to it. He feels no remorse for it. He says it wasn't the first time. I won't go into further detail on that conversation other than to say he's not apologetic and is upset that I find it to be an issue. Our leadership has met about it, and we are genuinely split on the issue. About 3/4 of us feel it's inappropriate. We have some, much to my surprise, they don't. I know we have, much to my surprise, that some don't. I thought it was more clear-cut agreement than it was. So here's my question. Is it appropriate or not to have marital relations with your spouse at a church office or building? I didn't think this was a controversial question, but I've learned there are some who don't feel this way. I ask because I'm frustrated and even a bit disappointed that there's a divide on this. So if there's anyone who doesn't find it inappropriate, perhaps giving some insight as to why you think that way would help. Now, listen, I'm going to let Andrew and Dell kind of start this segment. But before you guys do this, because this is on the internet and this is very public facing, I want to state my position first and foremost. I think it's weird. I do not support this. I think in
weird
any
and
other
uncomfortable
job
doesn't mean wrong necessarily.
In any other job,
your wife is a vegetarian. I think that's weird, and that you should be leading her better.
Okay,
but guess what? My opinion does not matter when it comes to your marriage. So,
bro,
there's that.
If my wife wants to eat celery at church, that's fine. If you want to have sex in the office with your wife, that's a different conversation. And
I love that it took you so long to say the word sex because it made you uncomfortable.
Actually, this
might be
an issue on YouTube, but we'll see.
Flagged.
I'll say this again. There is and I've been getting beef about this the entire past.
So is the pastor's wife.
Oh my gosh, that's
exactly
so inappropriate.
That's why you were told to talk about this.
Listen, if we had any other job, this happened, that person would be fired
Immediately.
I mean, even
that's not true.
Even if this was like C-suite of a Fortune 500,
well, I can think of a couple. The Oval Office, you wouldn't.
Okay.
Huh?
But there was like literally like an investigation, and it was
And
severely
he
frowned
didn't get
upon.
fired.
That's
Just
true.
because
his
he
job.
didn't get fired doesn't mean like
Matt
that's
Lauer
still
got
whack.
a multi-million-dollar settlement, and he had remote control doors.
Guys. The fact that
Neither of them are
anyone is
pastors.
defending this is
You're
out of
underestimating
this
the degeneracy of
world.
America.
All right. Dell and Andrew.
Dell, go
I've
for
said
it.
my position, the correct position.
Oh.
I want to hear you guys talk. Go ahead.
Okay, like the super edgy, like early 2000s, reform guy is like, yeah, go for it. But like the guy who's been in ministry for over 20 years is like, this is a workplace as well. I mean, it's a sacred place. It's a workplace. And I'm with you, Frank. I think it's weird, but I'll take it a little bit more. I would say it's inappropriate. I think that this is a place reserved for worshiping God. Okay, to which those early, restless and reformed people will be like, well, that is a form of worship. I'll be like, dude, you're just wanting to like have with your wife at work. And then think about if that gets out. Okay, let's just be real. Like, someone comes into your office and wants to meet with you. What are they thinking about while they're in your office meeting with you?
I wish I
Why
would
is
have put
it
this
so
on his
sicky?
Google Calendar. That's what they're thinking.
Exactly. I want to meet with
You
him
know
at the
what?
coffee
This
shop.
wouldn't have
It's
happened if the
just-
church didn't insist on office hours.
True. Yeah, if you don't have an office, this is a non-issue.
This is a great promotion for church merch. They can make socks that go on the doorknobs.
Oh.
Just saying.
I don't know that I've seen socks on the church. I haven't looked that closely. My only pushback is, how many times have we been told in ministry, hey, this is not a normal 9-to-5 job? It's not happening in the sanctuary. It's not the worship center or the whatever you call it at your church. It's in the guy's private office with the door closed, I assume. Maybe be on the lookout for when the cleaning crew is coming. But
Yeah. And your cameras are on?
not in the office.
Okay, so why would the sanctuary
They
be
found them
different,
on the
Andrew?
stream. That was the thing.
Why would
They're-
why would it be different if it was a sanctuary?
Because Dell is saying this is a place reserved for worship, and I'm saying it's
And his
Is not
office is a
everything
place reserved for what?
officing. Is
Okay,
everything
so I
you
think
do is you are in your office right now. Is this
Right.
worship what we're doing?
no, but
it's
I'm
a
saying
home office.
I'm saying specific rooms tend to have specific uses. Your kitchen is not where
Sure.
you give your kid a bath unless they're like a tiny infant, right?
I was gonna say, but when they're little, you do.
Okay, and if it's your house, I think you have an expectation of I control who comes in and out of this room in this building. In the church building where other people can come in and out without your knowledge, I think you lose that privilege. To me, this is in the category of foolishness. I don't know that you can
Yeah,
say it's wrong or
that's-
right, unless there was
good.
some kind of employee handbook that you signed that said I'm
I
not
was
going
gonna
to do
say
this.
that,
in
the
in the
whole
church
senior pastor being upset.
office.
Like, this is one of those things where if you might need to have a policy in writing.
Yeah,
if
this
you're
is
gonna be
something where
upset about
nobody
it.
thought they would have to say this. Nobody thought
This
they
is
would
by
have to.
By
Yeah.
definition, this is something
Okay,
where
guys.
5 years from now, some new employees that come on,
Yep.
they're like, "Why is there something about not having
Yeah.
relations with your spouse?"
Why
in
do
the
I have to
office?
keep my pants
like
on in the office?
Every
Yeah.
policy comes with a
Have-
backstory, right? And yeah, dude, this
Also, I
crazy.
think like, all right, let's just make this like super practical. You're in your office working, and your wife shows up with that intention. Okay, we could talk about policies and stuff, but if your wife comes in there, shuts the door, and is like, "I love you and I miss you, babe," like,
Let's get
what
in
are
the car.
you doing? Because what are you doing?
Let's get in the car.
Okay, so you're
Go
saying
home.
we'll pack up, even though you drove 20 minutes across town.
Well, I
we're gonna
walked
get
across
we're
the
gonna get in
parking
the
lot.
car. Well, okay, that's different.
Just-
All right,
I'm
yeah, that's fair.
literally,
The-
literally, one of the fruit of the spirit is self-control. Like, my guys, what are we even talking about?
They
what
closed.
are we talking
They
about,
closed the door.
You can't make a good argument for me as to why this is a good idea.
bro?
You're
This is-
missing what I'm saying,
I'm
though.
not saying
I'm just saying
it's,
if
not,
any
it's a good idea. I'm just saying this isn't a fireable offense. This isn't something that your boss should be all that concerned about. This
Sure.
is
Dog,
this is
yes, it is a fireable offense.
Heck
this
no.
is nuts, dude.
I'm not firing my staff. I'm going to say, hey, don't do that again. I'm creating a policy. I'm not firing
Bro.
you because you.
What just happened? Oh no.
I think you can make an argument that
This is what I'm saying. I was not trying to say you should or shouldn't. All I'm saying is you get the average guy in his office and his wife shows up for that intention without telling him. What percentage of guys? What percentage of guys are you going to think be like, we shouldn't do this at church? I mean, do you think it's high, low? I mean, be honest, because they're like, this is not.
I don't
just
think that's an argument for whether it's wise or not. If a bunch of guys are willing,
I agree with you on that. I'm talking about it happened, and
yeah, I don't know if it's a fireable offense the first time it happens, but if you're having this conversation and the guy goes, "Oh yeah, we do it all the time. It's no big deal," I'm gonna now go, "Okay, this is a pastor who doesn't have good critical thinking skills, and potentially
that's different, yes,
and potentially is unwise in a
Let me
pretty
ask
important
a
way."
very awkward question.
Yeah,
fellas,
we're past awkward, but go ahead.
I don't think so.
Is this different if he's the senior pastor?
It shouldn't be.
Like, but is it? This is a support staff. This is, let's say small groups guy, youth pastor, whatever it is. The senior pastor is the person that's having issues with it now. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? This has been happening long before you got here, and it'll be happening long after you leave.
If I was a staff member and that was my senior pastor's response to that flipping about it, I might resign.
No, that's the thing, is that this is the senior pastor who has an issue, and this is
we don't know if this is a senior pastor has an issue.
It is. I am the pastor. I am the pastor of a largest church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So this is the senior pastor who has an issue with his staff member.
Yeah.
So is that a different issue than if the staff member finds out something about the senior pastor? Then is it a funny joke? I mean, there are so many issues.
I think it depends on your polity, but I would say let's say the senior pastor got caught doing this by a staff member, or like janitor told the associate pastor. Sure. In my polity, the associate pastor could then go to the elders, and the elders could say, "Hey, we're not doing this. This is a bad idea. You need to stop." And if at that point I said, "Well, I've been doing it a long time. I don't know what the problem is," and they were like, "We're uncomfortable with this," they could go to my denomination, and I could be gone. Because
that's where the wisdom thing comes in to me. It's like
that would be the best reason to get fired.
It would be, for sure.
I think that'd be the funniest. Like, first of all,
yes,
this is a line in the sand you're willing to draw.
Yeah,
it's so dumb. Like, just go get a hotel room if you want to be wild.
I mean, you got $150 you just throw around, Jeff. Must be nice being in the CMA.
No, listen. No one is like upset that their husband and wife are wanting to sleep with each other. Like, praise God that they want to do this and they're excited. But like, literally, dog, this is why people think Protestantism is a joke and Catholicism and Orthodoxy.
Oh yeah, because no sex has ever happened in a Catholic priest's office.
That might not have been a good line, Frank.
I'm not saying that's a bad argument.
If a pastor and his wife were caught doing it in their car in the church parking lot, we would have a problem with it, right? Why? Because anybody can walk in and find you. That's the same reason.
Well, you can get arrested for that.
That's the same reason this is unwise too. I'm not saying you can get arrested for this in your own private office, but the fact that anybody, in your car, because it's inappropriate because anybody could walk up and find you, including children.
Exactly.
The same argument applies here.
Should they have just tried to be quieter?
No, here's the issue. They should know the custodial staff could be there at any time in any hour. Like that was an unwise decision.
There's other people with access. You can't do that when there's other people with access.
It can't happen in a Lakeview office. One, we don't have offices. And two, we have cameras in every room now. Like, it's just not going to happen. If you don't ever want this to happen at your church, put a camera in every room, write it into your policy. Tell someone, like, this is not an appropriate thing to do.
That's the thing with cameras, too. Let people know before you put the camera in so you stop the thing from happening, not catch people with a secret camera after the fact.
Exactly. We don't hide that there's a camera in every room at Lakeview. Like, this is the reason we don't have to have this policy.
But like, even like this language that we're using right now, like, they should have been quieter. There's
no, this should have never happened.
This was 1970. There are no cameras in the space. This is categorically weird.
No one said it wasn't weird.
It's categorically foolish. And I would even argue if your attitude...
not very wise.
I would argue if your attitude is flippant about this bad of an unwise decision, you might not be qualified to be a pastor.
Like, if they were approached as, hey, this wasn't a good decision, the response should have been, yep, you're right, that will not happen again.
Right.
To Delmar's point, my wife came in, she seduced me, I had no options.
The woman you gave me. It was, she tempted me.
you might be walking into disqualification just for foolishness.
And honestly,
I just-
the bigger question is, I think we got to talk about like boundaries should exist in church
Right.
for a reason. You know,
Yeah.
like boundaries are helpful. So I feel like whenever we say we do that in church, we're graying all of the boundaries. And that's not helpful to our congregants either. That's not helpful to our staff. It's helpful for us to model to our staff what the boundaries in church look like, not just with this issue, but with other issues as well. So if you're the lead pastor and this is a guy under you, well, looks like you got a boundary issue in your church, which goes back to it's a culture issue possibly.
Well, this goes back to we have
which it
staff
does
that
sound
works late all the time. And if people are working late all the time and their wives and kids are having to come into the church office to see them at night because
Yeah.
they're working so hard, well, maybe that's the
Now
issue.
that is messed up. Yeah, that
think
guy
that's messed up
that
too.
might be part of the problem.
Hey, it's true.
the dog. This is ridiculous. What was the other one I saw? That's like the wedding bed
Can we just
is undefiled, but so is the church
Undefiled.
office.
But-
well,
but the
can
church
we
office
just
is very
say this
defiled.
as well? This is also a stewardship issue because the church isn't my space.
Right.
I think I think
Yes.
Del,
That's really good.
that's my point.
That might be the best point.
Right.
I think
yeah,
I think
for
there's
sure.
like this attitude that's
It's like an entitlement attitude. If I can, this is my building. I'll
Yeah.
do it. It's not your building. It's
Very much.
everybody that's a member's building.
Can I give you like
So does that mean that other people who are
no
No.
Never mind.
No. Like I mean, you might argue that this is a slippery slope or like a wrong way to look at this, but or like a straw man or whatever. But like, here's my issue: the same logic of a pastor saying, "Hey, I'm going to sleep with my wife in my office," can take the steps of like, "Hey, I'm going to justify purchases that are beneficial to me, even though they're
There
not
you go.
necessarily like a true church expense." Like, I think there is like a parallel in the thinking of like, this is an extension of my personal property and my
Right.
personal needs. And it's like, this, like, yeah, the office is not the same as the
Hang on,
sanctuary.
the church office. Let's make that clear because
Because you have
home
a
offices are very different.
Okay, that's
You
what
guys knocking my
do-
home office now?
What you do
Dude, inside
I'm
your
in
own
trouble.
home,
In
any
your
room
home
is-
office-
any room is your room, buddy. Like, hey,
brother, in your home office with your camera, like an old lady, cover it with a towel or something, make sure no one sees your camera or whatever. And
so
And,
unnecessary.
so disturbed.
you're still finishing all your jobs for work, then I don't care. Like, but like, that's at home is your business. But dude,
It's a
at the church is
And then
crazy.
the last thought I had on this. The last thought I had on this is it's a witness issue. Okay, let's be honest. As a church, it's a witness issue. If this does happen and the headline comes out that the pastors at that church sleep with their wives in the church, like you might get a few curious people showing up to visit, but you're going to get more people who are put off by that. And we're called to steward our witness.
Dude, people
You know,
are
they're-
looking for reasons to think we're crazy. This is just
Yeah.
giving another
Exactly.
reason.
Andrew, the same church that puts a bed on the roof of their church.
Yep. Maybe that's why I have the least problem with this because I spent some formative years working at Fellowship Church and yeah.
I don't want to ask
There's
any
a
more questions.
bed okay.
Yeah, there was a
It's a promo for a
promo
series.
for a series was a sex challenge between
Oh, okay.
Ed and Lisa Young, and they had a bed on the roof of their church for 7 days straight. It was weird.
Very.
That's
For the record, I
on
didn't
par.
work there at the time.
Dog, it's
I
crazy
would
work.
just like to say, hey, churches, get your policies in place.
Put a camera in every room.
If
I mean, that's
if
the
you don't want
simplest
it to
one, man.
happen-
Seriously,
Camera
it
in
won't
every
happen.
room that other people have. And
literally
also,
won't
can we talk
happen.
about like pastors? You shouldn't be the only one with a key to your office. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the elders at our church have a key to my office. It's not mine. They can walk in here. Yes, my things are in here, my books, my desk is set up, all that stuff. But like anybody should just be able to walk into my office at any moment and there'd be no problem with it.
Wow. All right. Well, this was an interesting episode. Hopefully it was an interesting episode for you all. Again, if you have
Was it
more-
as good for you as it was for me?
Okay, there it
if
is.
any,
I was
if
waiting
you,
for it.
this is why on our demographics it's like
40 minutes.
99% men and like 1%.
Our wives.
That's probably what it was. Check out
our wives who have all instructed us not to give actual opinions on the subject.
I'm not going to comment any further. Go to practicallypastoringconference.com if you, after all this, still want to attend our conference, and go to our Facebook group and search for Practically Pastoring. We talk about this and more. If you want to have your question discussed on another episode, put it in the Facebook group, and we'll try to get to it. With that being said, we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.